Well, and I corrected myself as a failing.
Failing. That's what I was going to ask. So you still have hope.
I think, yeah, I have hope. But the notion that in 2026, my children have less civil rights than I had.
A bunch of privileged mean girls complaining about privilege and trying to make fetch happen. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it.
Sunny Hostin recently sat down for an interview where she branded America a failed experiment. We all know Maher and Hostin sit on the same side of the aisle, so why did Maher explode like that? What exactly did Sunny Hostin say? We've got every clip lined up for you, so smash that subscribe button.
You called America a failed experiment when you were on Friday.
Well, and I corrected myself as a failing.
Failing. That's what I was going to ask. So you still have hope.
I think, yeah, I have hope. But the notion that in 2026, my children have less civil rights than I had.
That's horrible and terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
And so any scientific experiment that you would take, because I've discussed this with my husband, because apparently he heard some of the blowback when I said it's a failing experiment. If an experiment is working, there aren't, this type of thing doesn't happen. There are leaps forward, not backwards.
And let's dive straight in. So, you heard that for yourself. Sunny Hostin just claimed that America is a failing experiment. On top of that, she said her own kids now have fewer civil rights than she did growing up. But here's the real question. What rights exactly is she talking about? Because Maher's broader point is that opportunities for Black Americans have also expanded dramatically as the decades have rolled on. Sure, there have been a handful of moments nobody's proud of, setbacks nobody wants to relive, but, on the whole, Black lives have improved tremendously since the 70s and 80s. Income, education, and representation, none of it compares to where things stood 2 generations ago. So, when Hostin stands there insisting her children are somehow worse off, it doesn't add up. And that's exactly why Maher thinks voices like hers can sound reflexively unpatriotic. Always has.
And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet, not by a long shot, and we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it. Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it.
Hunting for a reason, any reason, to tear this country down instead of acknowledging real progress. Maher's response hits the nail on the head. People like Sunny Hostin can come across as entitled critics who don't recognize how good they actually have it. These are folks who would find something to complain about no matter the circumstances, even though it's painfully obvious their lives are leagues better than those who came before them. Go back 2 or 3 generations and compare. The contrast isn't subtle, it's staggering. Yet, somehow, comfort breeds complaint instead of gratitude. And it's not just a historical comparison, either. Even by today's standards, the average American enjoys a quality of life that much of the world can only dream of. Access to opportunity, healthcare, technology, and freedoms that plenty of other nations simply don't offer their citizens. So, when people sitting on top of all that privilege turn around and call the whole
59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing. I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave?
System of failed experiment, it's not insight. It's ingratitude dressed up as activism. That's the frustration Maher is channeling, and it's hard to argue he doesn't have a point. Plenty of liberals, including a long list of Hollywood stars, have claimed they want to leave America because the country simply isn't working. And yet, in the same breath, these very same people turn around and encourage immigrants from around the world to come here. If that isn't a glaring double standard, what exactly would qualify? You can't credibly argue a nation is broken beyond repair while simultaneously selling it to others as a land of opportunity worth crossing oceans and borders for. The contradiction speaks for itself. It increasingly looks like this harsh criticism of America has far less to do with any objective truth about the country's failures and far more to do with partisan politics. A convenient talking point that flares up when...
Because just like we did here tonight, you have to talk to each other and you have to hear the other side. And I speak to a different group. I don't want anybody who's ideologically captured. I speak to the normies. I speak to the people who don't want there to be hate anymore in America. If there's any theme of this, is that I am tired of the hate. I don't want to hate half the country.
Never the other side holds power. Strip away the political theater, and what's left isn't a serious critique of America. It's contradiction and convenience dressed up as principle. Maher's right on this one. It's not just that some liberals have grown to resent the country itself. Many of them seem to have become unwilling to engage with anyone who simply sees things differently. They don't want to engage with these people, debate them, or even sit in the same room with them. They'd rather write them off entirely. That kind of attitude isn't healthy for anyone, regardless of where you fall politically. It's precisely why voices like Maher's are speaking out now. He's grown tired of watching people demonize others simply because they hold a different political opinion, as if disagreement were the same thing as moral failure. What Maher and others like him actually want is...
Just like there's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, "I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean." Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday. I guess she flew back from Tajikistan.
Far simpler. A seat at the same table, an honest conversation, and the basic willingness to hear someone out instead of immediately shutting them down. That used to be normal. Now, it's treated like a radical idea, and that says more about the state of public discourse than anything else. It's worth pointing out something pretty telling here. A lot of this so-called hatred for America isn't really about the country itself. It's about who currently sits in the Oval Office. Strip away the Trump presidency, and suddenly the failed experiment rhetoric tends to quiet down considerably. That alone says a lot about where this sentiment is actually coming from. And yet, despite all the talk of leaving, of giving up on the place entirely, these same people are still here, still cashing their paychecks, still building their careers, still living comfortably within the very...
They also found that voters didn't just want Harris to distance herself from Biden. They wanted her to distance herself from what they believe the entire Democratic Party has become, a Portlandia sketch. A bunch of privileged mean girls complaining about privilege and trying to make fetch happen. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on tech.
Every system they claim has failed. So, the obvious question becomes, where exactly would they go? Because, for all its flaws, and no country is without them, America remains, by almost any practical measure, one of the best places on earth to actually live. The complaints are loud, but the suitcases never seem to get packed. Maher lays it out plainly. Hostin and others like her are, in his view, a group of highly successful public figures criticizing privileges they've long since stopped noticing they even have. They sit atop levels of wealth, fame, and influence that most Americans will never come close to, yet still frame themselves as victims of a country that has, by almost any measure, treated them extraordinarily well. It's a strange kind of blindness, comfort mistaken for oppression. Some have taken it even further, suggesting America's rejection of Kamala Harris in favor of Trump amounts to proof of broader gender bias in the country.
And sexism? Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump, which in a normal country would be called a victory. It wasn't... It wasn't 21st century sexism that prevented a woman from being president. It was the Electoral College. Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. They live here. and they actually see women and people of color, and it doesn't look like some patriarchal racist nightmare. Do problems remain pertaining to racism and sexism? Of course. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives.